I don't know, either the first Monday in November or December, something forward.
That's the initiative for the dementia training?
Yes, sir.
How long
And it's like a
will it
1
take?
hour, it's a 1 hour training. And the thought was from the committee that, we want the county to be well versed in the importance of this initiative. And so it needs to start with the leadership of the county, and that would be the Board of County Commissioners.
What date are you thinking?
Well, I was thinking about November 3rd. I know is gonna be a busy day for folks who are involved in the election, so maybe the first Monday in December would still be the best.
Can you do it hour before the regular meeting?
Yes, sir.
What time?
I would love to have a meeting and a briefing on what's going on around the hurricane. Who's doing what, whose responsibility is leading this efforts, and just so that the commissioners can be abreast of what's going on. And I think that will answer a lot of our, Dr. Mullins had some concerns. I think a briefing with this whole board would be good. That's just my thought.
I think that's a good, very good idea.
And that way we can kind of all stay on the same page, and we all send in the same message.
And I'd also like to have the plan, copy of the plan before the meeting. Because people were, at the last minute, it's your job now, I'd like to know, how do we come up with those ideas? Or why do we select different people? But, I'm not saying that they were bad decisions, they were probably good. But is it in writing? Then put it in plan, put it in writing for the next time. Because I'd like to see the plan.
How soon you
My
want
idea
something
was
done?
how we're gonna move forward.
My thing is, well, how soon
And I
I'm
don't
talking
know
about.
if that's the same thing
The
you're
same
talking
thing,
about.
because you need it for next year, so I said put it in writing.
I'm not talking about what's happened, I'm talking about how we're moving forward to help people. That's just my thoughts.
I think what you said, what's that training out there?
No, how we gonna move forward to help people?
But how soon we talking about meeting on it, y'all?
But can we, tell us from the legal standpoint, can we meet as a group, discuss something of this nature?
Oh, sir. You can recess this meeting to another time that you set, and this is part of the same meeting. Or you can skip, call special meeting before.
There's gotta be a,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got 5 board members.
How soon? But I'd like to know what's going on with FEMA and all this relocation and all this stuff too, updated on what happened. But that is how soon we need to do it, my thing, the timeline, we want to do it.
our next meeting's on, but we have an early meeting that day with tax, our next meeting, right?
Be a good time.
Well, it's the report to the people at the extension.
Tax.
No, that's in November. The report to the people at Cooperative Extension is on the 15th.
On the 15th.
Yes, sir, before the regular meeting.
What do we say?
Probably the best time, unless y'all wanna do it sooner, would be come in early prior to the next meeting if you could.
On the 15th.
That'll work for me, like at 4 o'clock or something like that.
I'm good pretty much any time. I'm just trying to think if you're coming this way.
Yeah.
It's all right with me to do it that way.
You got one meeting at what, 5:30?
We don't have a meeting at 5.
5.
At 5, so you're talking about coming at 4
Yeah,
o'clock?
I can't.
But that means
Well,
just for Renee, right?
Yeah.
No, that's the extension.
4 o'clock?
No, we're talking about October. That's the one I was thinking of ahead.
I can get here.
Yeah.
5:30.
When you get here, 4?
Let me push me right here late.
Well, she said Ophelia's the only one with time, but this is.
I will. I can't, it'll be just feels late, but I can get here. So then we do the agricultural place?
That's on the 15th?
No,
Same time?
I'd say, well, I'm not sure about the, just because I'm not sure about the facility, I know the FEMA folks may be set up, I don't know how the arrangement's
We're
gonna
going
be.
to have one.
Maybe better to just have it here.
Date and time and the location to be determined.
Yeah, I'll check with Becky to see if that would be, they may be setting up for dinner, I don't know. Well, I'll just make sure that, if you'd like to meet there, say you already be there, I'll confirm that. So we can plan that, and then if there's any conflict with that, I'll let you know.
So we're looking at the 15th at 4 o'clock?
That's what it sounds like, yes, sir.
I think most of the 15th, 4 o'clock. Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Congdale, we got a second by Mr. Good. Is that good with everybody? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? 4 o'clock, which is a good thing, because then we'll meet the people right after.
I'll be late.
Alrighty. And then item G is just a review of the charitable organization's, requests that we've received this year.
Listen, can you, excuse me, did we agree, December 3rd for the dementia initiative training? Or did we
That's a
skip?
good,
Yeah, I'm
That's a
trying to
good
get
point,
the
Matt.
calendar.
I don't know if I have it on my calendar.
there was no, there hasn't been any action.
I know, we skipped that. I had to go back, I'm
We
like,
forgot
edit.
about it.
Yeah, we're going, we gotta do it, I like to
We
put it
got
on
to
my
get
calendar.
the too.
At 5 o'clock, the dementia training thing, 5 o'clock on the 3rd, before our regularly scheduled meeting.
On 3rd of November,
No,
December.
3rd.
December.
Can we do that?
I thought we were talking about something else on that day.
Why don't
We have a
we do the
regular-
dimension and the update on one, come in just a different day?
We said training, it's 1 hour training.
Just come in before a meeting. Make a motion, we have it at 5 o'clock on December the 3rd.
I'll second.
December 3rd at 5.
December 3rd.
Got a motion by Mr. Trivett, December 3rd at 5 o'clock, second by Dr. Mongoins. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? December 3rd.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, no, thank you for reminding us. The next item is the charitable requests for this year, and you have the information in your packet, and you can see that, if the requested levels were actually funded, we wouldn't have enough money to meet all of the requests. Primarily because historically, the Bladenboro Historical Society does not list a figure, does not state a figure that they're requesting. And then the United Way Day of Caring and the Bladen County Hospital Foundation money has been paid by the board. The Hospital Foundation appropriation has not been historically paid from this category in this line item, and we would like to begin doing that because that's really more in terms of what it is. But if the county was to stick with the comparable type appropriation as this year, then we would have enough funding for all of the items at that same level. And again, that was $1,095 for all of the agencies except the United Way Day of Caring and the Bladen County Hospital Foundation, both of which have actually not submitted requests at this point, but it seems like normally they come up, and information was sent to them. Normally they kind of come up right before the Day of Caring, which is usually in November, and right before the hospital gala, which is normally around Valentine's. So just to share that information with you.
Didn't this come up before then? Did you not?
We split the money.
Even, yes, sir, this past year you split the money evenly, and that seemed to work well. I will mention, and it's $1,095, as I stated. Anything over 1,000, the board, there's no requirement, the board may request an audit from that organization. That would be, for most of these small organizations, that would be cost prohibitive for them. So if that's a concern to you about giving 1,000, it's probably not worth that extra $95 or $96 for them. You know, if it needs to be $9.99 for you not to feel any kind of problem with that, then you can do that, but there's no requirement that the board request an audit from.
You still waiting for those to come in now, right?
Well, everything's come in except those last two, and we know what they've been for past years.
Kate Federal and special measures.
Well, no, I was thinking about the United Way Day of Caring and the Bladen County Hospital Foundation. The other ones we've received requests.
Hospital.
So Greg, are you asking them in the budget to put those two?
No,
in?
I'm just letting you, I'm not asking for any action tonight, I'm just letting you know where we are. As long as you're happy with
I'm happy.
the $1,095 or
We made a
whatever,
decision to
we're
do it
good.
last time.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll put that back on the, we're just trying, I mean, I want to certainly respect whatever you want to do, and so we're just sharing information.
So if you put United Way and the Bladen Health, then that mean you got
Just enough money.
just enough to handle everything,
Yes, sir.
and everybody gets the same amount.
That's right.
And we changed it last time to make this happen.
That's right.
I make a motion that we accept it.
He's not,
He
he's
doesn't
not
hear you.
right.
Are you gonna do the
Well, it's not on the agenda for action.
motion? Reference information.
Okay, thank you. we'll put that on for next time. And then the last thing is, the legislative goal process for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. They did extend that time frame to submit goals. I will let you know that we had a good conversation with a gentleman from the Department of Public Instruction, from the facilities, section. And Mr. Britt was able to sit in on that call as well as building inspections, Director Matt Chadwick. There appears to be no statutory issue with regard to the construction of school buildings. So if public schools wanted to build a facility like the Emerald facility, for instance, they could do that. They would need to meet state building code requirements. And the DPI folks do have authority with regard to science classes or science labs for middle and high schools, and with regard to modular or mobile units. Those are the only two areas that they really have teeth in the legislation.
But we did a lot of hard work to explain that to some of the people that should already know that.
I know you're working on the legislative goal, but I was looking at the thing with this mitigation and all this stuff coming in, and when you go to those legislative goals, you can ask for some kind of, they ask for some difficult things. Sometimes is there any way that I can call some other commissioners, that we could send something in from where we have all this devastation, where we ask that they, general statute of time confinement for money to be dispensed, you know, it sounds far reach, but if you don't ask them, like, to handle mitigation problem. Because we sitting up here now, we're on 2 years, and you put 2 more years on before you still ain't got stuff there. Just dealing with mitigation.
Well, it takes meetings and meetings and meetings to do that.
But you know, but it's like it did the thing with the 18-year-old, nobody figured they could do that, but they did. They changed it, and they went through the legislative goals. And some of this stuff I'm saying, if you put it to the legislature, they control how the money flows.
They'll hire consultants to come in and lead that out.
I'm just looking at, we can send something to, that would go in as a legislative goal, that's reflecting how people are actually, money being restricted, some kind of way to stimulate something. You're talking about building schools, you're talking about how you get money dispersed in this area.
Well, we're not limited to one.
No, you can submit anything you want to, it'll go to the committee and they'll.
That's what I'm saying, I'm trying to see if we can.
But I understand exactly what you're saying,
We can
and
implement
that's a
something
valid
like that,
point.
that would go there. I mean, this is a vote. We don't want to sit here for you guys to sit here and squabble over money with 2 years. Our people need help for those 2 years.
Well, here's a good example over in Bladenboro. We got a grant that was given to buy a generator for the town. But the slab that it's got to go on, there's a 5-month intensive study to see if it's environmental safe and what have you, friendly, to put the generator on,
Yeah, some of the stuff
which is ridiculous.
But we into this.
That's some of the stuff that you run into, and that's a specific thing that Duckworth talked to me about,
I'm
which
saying,
is crazy.
if for emergency situations, if you exempt from certain things, statutes that they put in place. That's what I'm saying, you know, when Fran came through, they may have cost the government more money than they want to spend, but they gave people immediate relief. They gave relief to people. Now you can't get relief, and we don't have money to give anybody relief.
That's your governor.
But regardless of who it is, I'm saying, but you got to send that to the legislative body, because they control what goes on.
What I'm saying is they're well aware that they rave and sing all the time about it. I mean, they already know it.
But government works at the local level. If all those guys would come in and get that to be one of the goals that you send to the legislature, it's just like any other legislative goal go for. You just send with that force from everybody, see if we can get all the other guys to sign it on. Because they have disasters on the west part of the state and everywhere else, like we do. About this relief of money, how you make money with it. Instead of just sitting there holding on the money and we sitting over here and have no say at all with what goes on with it. Raleigh ain't something, Coop ain't something about nobody house flood. We went down here something about the house flood. That's the only thing I'm saying. You can look at that and just put it to them anyway.
Put it all together.
Put something together, just let them know we got concerns
Yes.
about it. And I'll call some other guys, I'm quite sure some guys in this East Coast were always signing on that. And just run through the legislative code committee. That's what they do. They say if you got something concerned, send it, do everything.
Right.
Well, and you get a chance when you're at that committee, if you're the voting delegate for your county, you get the right to stand up there and have your say, and if you're good at talking, and you can sell your pitch, and you talk it, and you can get it to be on there. I learned a lot that first year.
There's 100 guys, there's 100 counties up there, all of them got problems just asking for holding money. Some of them got stuff with drainage problems, all kinds of different things, even with, some of them got problems with, they couldn't build before because of the way that you build a house and where the water reservoirs run at. All of it, put them those in there, see if they go through. Some of them go through.
And one other thing.
Where do we go with that?
We need, we definitely, that's a line item vote you want on that particular one though, isn't it?
Well, anyone that the board wants to, I think it requires like a letter from the chairman or some kind of action from the board, so, whatever the board
On
wants.
the wording on that, on the legislation for the schools, we would just like the legislators to be more considerate and lenient on the rural counties to make sure that we do get the opportunity without a lot of debating on helping us to build affordable schools.
Are you saying rural counties or all counties?
Well, all counties, but rural specifically.
Why don't they
You
do
got
that?
42 mil, they don't worry about money.
You know what the extended,
Yeah.
That's the deal.
I think it's the last day of this week.
You know, we used
It was
to,
extended.
a long time ago, the board used to sit down and develop them as a board.
Yeah, and I mean, we
When they do injury,
mentioned, that's why we mentioned it a month or so ago, just to see if there was
they do it on
anything.
26, right?
They were initially due back in September.
But they extended.
Now they extended it
They extended
to,
it,
I think to the 5th.
Fifth, sometimes they extend.
Right.
I was wondering if you could put something together on the one I was talking about, do something.
I mean, we can certainly work with,
And the nice thing on this one on the schools, the school board has got excited about it, because I think they see the light now. This is about the only way we can help them to achieve some of the needs that they have, which is needs all of us have, is to help them with, buildings. And, cause a lot of the, grants and, the, 3-to-1 match and all is based on new construction. And so we have to take that into consideration. Yes, sir.
Greg, one of mine would be for the legislatures to give the county commissioners the authority to enforce the quarter-cent sales tax
without a referendum.
without a referendum.
We submitted that in time.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, that's what I'm
The
saying.
second one is that we request Blaine County's DOT workforce be increased from 20 daggone people with the county we got. Because sometime or another, we're gonna have, somebody's got to start cleaning out some ditches. And if they ain't got 20 people, they ain't got manpower to do it. But I think there's 20 people over there now, it used to be 300 or 400. I think that should be one of our priorities.
They drive there, pay the road, we sell, but about they try to pay the road. Four hold the sign, and four hold the sign, 3 watches, and 2 doing the work. Ain't enough time to do.
And we'll work with Mr. Cottingale to come up with the wording on the
If you
Yeah.
could,
one you're
please,
talking about. Yeah, if that's fine, yeah, fine with the board.
something on that.
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Martin, where are we with the personnel policy updates?
That has been put on hold for the past few weeks, but I mean, we'll certainly get it back on the front burner.
Okay.
But honestly, Mr. Bullock, it's been on the back burner for the past few weeks.
All right, thanks, sir.
I know this is a long meeting for everybody, but there's things we need to have to get discussed, and we appreciate the patience, everyone, and thank everybody for coming. Can I get a motion for us to adjourn?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Good, we got a second by Mr. Trivett, all in favor say aye. Nobody opposed, motion.
Do they want to hear?